Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Gareth for a special Talking Tactics with a Difference. We're going to do a series of these over the summer, focusing on a number of players that Aston Villa might want to target to improve their fortunes even more next season. So we've got a fair few players to go through. A couple of them, obviously, you will be very, very familiar with. One or two others that Gareth has looked at and thought these players might be a decent shout for the Villa. So we're going to get right into it. Before we do, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for helping us to hit 4,000 subscribers, and we're keeping on marching on. We're nearly at 4,100 already, which is just amazing. So thank you very much for all your support. But like, subscribe, and get your comments in below on any of these players and any more that you might want Gareth to focus on. First of all, Gareth, how are you doing, mate? It's been a couple of weeks since we've been together on this show, but yeah, exciting times, potential signings for Aston Villa over the summer.
Yeah, sort of. It all starts, doesn't it? It starts sort of before the season closes these days. And yeah, I've been good. Thanks. A lot of really sort of doing a bit of work for players and clubs in the transfer window and sort of post-season work. So yeah, it's been good. But yeah, I mean, it depends money-wise. I think everybody's in the same boat, aren't they? Almost.
Exactly. So you mentioned money, and one player that is looking like he's going to sign for Aston Villa is Ross Barkley on a bit more of a cut price deal. Can you see the logic in this before we get his kind of viz up and your sort of research on it? Can you see the logic in this signing?
Yeah, I mean, I got a bit of flack as we do, but I mean, I see the logic in it because if it's a cheap deal and it's a squad player, it's a homegrown player as well. We need that, and we need squad numbers. We saw our sort of how it was sort of last season. It affected us a lot, so the squad numbers need to be improved. And it's homegrown, as I say. I just think there's better out there on a free. I've said it before. I think a lot of people are for it, and I can see it. It's not for me. I think one good season at Luton, in a struggling team. Yeah, he was impressive. There's no doubt about that. It's just not one for me. I just find it a bit of a strange signing for, especially under Monchi and Unai Emery. It just doesn't seem sort of a stereotypical signing, but to an extent, yeah, I can see it.
Well, let's get his viz up here in terms of his attributes and ratings. So, what does this tell us about what Ross Barkley could potentially bring to Aston Villa?
Yeah, I mean, we know he can receive the ball on a half turn. He can carry the ball forwards over sort of 15, 20 yards really well. That's really good. Similar to a Jacob Ramsey can carry the ball. He's very similar in profile to that in that respect. I'm not so sure about this, all the tackling and everything else. I'm just not sure that was Ross Barkley. It was more sort of recovering loose balls, a lot of it and stuff like that. But we know he's quite strong in the air. We know he likes a shot, and he's pretty handy like that. I can see it as a squad player, but we've been there, we've done this before, and I know he's a little bit better now, but he didn't have a massively great season at Nice before, and Luton took a punt on him. Let's be honest, they took a punt on him, and it worked out in their favour. If it didn't, then he would have just been a waste, and he just would have had to have sort of not made many appearances. They got a little bit lucky in many respects with him because he had an outstanding season in a struggling team, but at 30 years old as well. I mean, and we could say the same about a lot of players age-wise, I guess, but I can see why he brings the abilities that he brings. I just don't see it for us.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because whether it's more of a he's changed his character, he's changed his mindset, he's changed his outlook, which is then translating into being a better player and a more effective player. Whether a season of that is enough to then say, right, okay, you're ready to go into an Aston Villa side that is in the Champions League. You're potentially not going to play every week, but you're still upping your standards. That's the one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, like you say, is he's been at Villa before. He flattered to deceive. He's kind of done that all his career. Does one really consistent season after the last 4 or 5 really inconsistent seasons prove that he's changed? I guess at 2 million or whatever the buyout of his last money of his contract is, potentially, like, what is as good as a free transfer. Is it a low risk move? That's the situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. It is low risk. I mean, that's probably the thing that they've looked at. If if it's 2 million and whatever and on lower wages, but he was the main man at Luton. Let's be honest, he was the main man in that side. And like you said, is he going to want to come and sort of maybe sit on the bench for quite long periods of the season? He'll play in cup games, I would imagine. But is that enough for him? It seems to me like he likes to be involved. He likes to be be relied upon, if you like. I'm not so sure he's going to get that many minutes at Villa if that's going to happen, but it's what it is.
Yeah, we will see. We will see what it looks like. It's moving forward, and we're getting to June, now. So that time when potential transfer window opens or transfers get announced, we could be seeing that announced very soon. Now, another player homegrown player, English player, who has been again heavily linked with Aston Villa, mainly due to profit and sustainability guidelines. It's a little bit of a surprising one that they want to let him go. It's Chelsea, or prepared to let him go, with Conor Gallagher. What are your thoughts now? He is potentially you've got research into him as a centre midfielder, and you've got research into him as an attacking midfielder. Now, we know that Emery likes that versatility in his players. So is that where you can maybe see a Conor Gallagher fitting into Aston Villa and our style of play a little bit more?
Yeah, now you see, when we talk about fits and styles of play and things like that, this is a player who would fit our style of play, as opposed to probably Ross Barkley doesn't. But the trouble is that you're talking about money. So we all want the best sweets in the kitchen, in the shop, but we can't always afford them. So, and I
Yeah.
think that's probably the sort of analogy that we could use here. What a player, I think this one really excites me, to be honest. I think there's a lot of links about this. I'm wondering if there's anything in that. Yeah, it might cost, but I think you're going to have to offload before we bring in. I think that's probably the way it is, especially position-wise as well. But he could bring so much versatility, as you say. And I think he is an Unai Emery type of player. I tweeted it yesterday, and I think he would fit in really well because he can play in a defensive midfield position and he can play as a number 10, or he can just, but in different systems. We might see a system change this season. We don't know. So that brings more versatility into it. But yeah, I think it'd be a great addition. It's just about money, isn't it?
Yeah, well, let's see what his attributes are in central midfield first. I mean, lots of strengths there. I've talked about him before. The pressing, the passing, late box entries as well. He scored goals this season. Stamina, which is massive in this midfield for Unai Emery. So ticks a lot of boxes, Gareth.
Yeah, carries the ball similar to Ross Barkley in that respect. Can recover the ball and carry it forward really well. Draws a lot of fouls. Obviously creating a sort of some shot creating actions there from live passes. So we need a little bit of that as well. But this is in a central midfield. So when he plays in central midfield, he plays as a left central defensive midfielder alongside Moises Caicedo. So you're talking about a player who can sort of play in this position and actually does, as we'll see, better as a central midfield player than he does as an attacking one. I just think that Pochettino used him in that for needs must, I think.
Yeah, well, let's have a quick look at the attacking midfield. So yeah, he does have that ability to be able to do it. In that area, I mean, he scored against Villa at Villa Park, didn't he? And just outside the box, that curling effort, wonderful goal. So he definitely possesses the ability to create and score goals from inside or outside the box.
Yeah, and also, one thing I did sort of notice here when I looked at these data on there, again, the attacking third tackles is up here, just as we saw as the tackles in the previous central midfield radar. So we know that he likes a tackle. So therefore, probably central midfield is his best position. Now, where does he therefore fit in? Does he fit in alongside Douglas Luiz? Does he fit alongside Boubacar Kamara? Maybe. I think we probably look at a 4-2-3-1 for Villa with maybe Kamara there and Conor Gallagher sort of in that pivot ahead of him. I'm not so sure Douglas Luiz stays. I think if Douglas Luiz goes, I think this is probably on.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, you talked about value in terms of now we're getting into slightly like different players that haven't necessarily been linked to Aston Villa specifically, but value and I guess quality or potential quality. We know he's Premier League proven. Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester. Now he's probably going to attract interest from a number of Premier League clubs. I think his contract is up, if I'm believed to be
Yeah.
right. What are your thoughts on him? And would you suggest he would be potentially a better fit than a Ross Barkley?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, indeed, his qualities lie sort of in the defensive work as well, but also he can get box to box, and that's what I really like about Ndidi. I think he's sort of got really good energy in there. You know, all right, his passing maybe not so great at times, and he's got a few flaws and everything. But again, we're looking at free transfers. You
Mm.
know, this is a proven Premier League and international quality player who's available on a free. He won't be on the market for very long. You know, he's gonna be sought after, as you say. And again, sort of really good intention with able to sort of create some chances from live passes as well. Again, similar to Conor Gallagher, can arrive in the box late, can chip in with the odd goal. Not so many, okay. Not so great at carrying the ball, but again, he's able to be sort of a set piece threat in the box. Really good energy, can intercept the ball well, reads the game really well. And as I said before, and it's really important that we say this, is that his Premier League experience, he's been there, he's done it, and he's an international footballer on a free.
Yeah, he'll be very, very highly sought after. And we've talked about a lot. I know he's maybe not the bulkiest, but in terms of physical presence, in terms of being able to cover the ground, that's something that we've lacked in midfield so
Yeah.
much, particularly without Boubacar Kamara, who again isn't the most physical player, but can cover the ground. And if you think about someone like an Ndidi coming in, maybe he doesn't play every game, but the way he can add physical presence into that midfield would be vital for me. That would be a really good signing.
Yeah, and I think we need that DM sort of specific role because I don't think obviously Kamara's not going to be back till October, November. I wouldn't imagine at the earliest. So we can't start the season with Douglas Luiz and John McGinn.
Mm.
Because we've got rid of Dendonka now as well. I think so. We are very, very light, and I'm sure they've got plans in motion, but for a free transfer, stays in the Midlands as well. So another option sort of thing. So yeah, for me, I'd probably look at that.
Yeah, yeah. An interesting one here. Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Manchester United. Very, very, very strong 1v1 defender, very strong defensive right back. Not the best going forward, and we've probably got Matty Cashew we talk about. We need the upgrade on him. Now, is this kind of a lesser of two evils in that you're probably solving the defensive situation, but you're not necessarily solving the attacking situation with a Wan-Bissaka?
Yeah, kind of that. I mean, for the record, I think Matty Cash stays. I don't
Mm.
think he's going anywhere. And
No, no.
Wan-Bissaka's only got a year left on his contract at Manchester United. Now, whether they choose to extend that, I don't know. But for me, he's got to be up there because I think, especially if we're going to stay with that system of that hybrid back three, and we want to move Konsa inside with Powell sort of, there, or Tyrone, of course. But I think if we want to move that, I think Wan-Bissaka is that man. I think he is better at that sort of situation in that hybrid back three than Matty Cash sort of wasn't quite sure, was he in between and
No.
everything else. And for me, the best 1v1 defender in the league, or at least up there. I think this is the sort of player that we need. And again, with Emery, I think he's asked to do a lot at Manchester United. He's asked to go forward and he's asked to cover. So he wouldn't have to necessarily do that as we've seen at Villa. So I think it would suit him. Our style of play would suit him a lot more than this chaotic sort of style that Manchester United have now. Whether he would want to move, I mean, the wages might be an issue. I mean, I don't know. But again, for me, with 1 year left on your deal, you're probably going to get him at a decent price.
Yeah. Well, there's been talk of Crystal Palace being interested in him and backing for him. So if Crystal Palace can go in for him, then I'm pretty sure Aston Villa could go in for him with Champions League football to attract him with. So yeah, we've got to be pushing ourselves to look to sign anybody that we want. Really, it's just whether, as you say, whether Wan-Bissaka would be someone who would fit the bill. But for me, yeah, I think if he's gonna keep with that more defensive minded fullback on one side and a more attack minded fullback on the other side, then Amram Wan-Bissaka definitely fits the bill because it means yes, you put Konsa back into that right sided centre back position. He's much more comfortable. You've got security in terms of 1v1 defending at right back that you haven't necessarily had too much with Matty Cash all the time. So yeah, it would make sense. If he wants to change it slightly and go more attacking on both sides, though, he's maybe not the right fullback to choose, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Uh, One that we've looked at a couple of times on this show, I think it was maybe maybe last season or last pre-season, I maybe did a feature on him. He's probably on Munch's list, and that's Alex Baena from Villarreal. Now the links are there with Unai Emery, etc., etc. He's gone through the ranks at Spanish level, so right from under 16s right through to the national team, where he's got 2 caps, scored 1 goal. He's played 76 times for Villarreal. He was on loan at Girona as well. So very, very technically gifted player, I would say. Gareth, what are your thoughts on Baena and what he might be able to bring to Villa?
Yeah, really good player. One that I've admired for a long, long time. And as you say, we kept our eyes on him through youth systems, and everything else. So he's really sort of come of age, almost, if you like. But had a fantastic season. Sort of playing really well. And I think he brings that little bit of flexibility in being able to sort of play in different positions on that left hand side, if you like. And I think it's really important that we have to look at, we don't know what systems are going to be played this season. Will he keep it the same? I'm not so sure he will. I think he will look to change it, especially now he's going to have more fit centre backs. We might see a bit of a back three. We don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I think I'm sort of basing a lot of this on this staying us in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2. They're sort of my sort of parameters, if you like, in looking at a lot of these players. And this Bayern, fantastic. He can go sort of up and down a pitch really quickly, contributes with his XT, contributes with the XG assisted towards goals, plenty of shot creating actions from open play as well, which is a lot of, again, what we've lacked. Able to press, draws fouls, sort of a creative left-sided player, and can play, like I say, in a variety of positions on that left-hand side. So bit more of a better sort of fit for Luca Digne to help out on that left-hand side, or Alex Mourinho maybe. I think it would work quite well.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at that crossing, cutting inside. The creative passing is sometimes where we've missed out this season. Trying to break down some teams that have certainly towards the back end of this season at Villa Park, where we've maybe struggled to break a couple of teams down away from home, even where we've had lots of possession. I think of Nottingham Forest earlier on this season, where we had so much possession, couldn't do anything with it. And you're thinking that Baena or Buendia type player who can just do something slightly different, stay in a space or empty a space at a certain time, or just do something slightly off cuff is what you need. And could be.
Yeah.
And going into the Champions League as well, where it's all about moments, isn't it? Everything's about moments in games. If you've got a player who can produce something at a certain time because the games are so tactical, then that could be the vital for us moving forwards.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I did notice a lot about Bone as well is that he's able to take set pieces, Rich, which is really
Yes.
important because
Yeah.
we've missed that.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So okay, last couple now, just to round off the show. We've Ian Matson, interesting one, being on loan from various clubs from Chelsea, but had a really good season last season at Dortmund, and he's said he apparently wants to stay, which is interesting. He wants to stay there. What are your thoughts on him and a potential, yet again, like a little bit of a wild card one here? What do you think he's kind of developed and to potentially bring to Aston Villa?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a bit sort of a no-goer really now, because I think, like as you say, since I've done all these, it's come out that he'd probably like to stay at Dortmund. So whether Chelsea would be looking to recoup a bit of money for him, I don't know. But I was really impressed with him in the season at Burnley, and I think since he went back to Chelsea, he had a few games there, but he's had a really good season at Dortmund, and I think he stood out for a lot of people. It's a shame because I think he probably will go to Dortmund.
Yeah,
But he is that sort of right back that, and he can play across the back. I just think it's one of those players that it'd really do us a really good turn, because really good defensive midfield, defensive fullback, shows for the ball. He's able to get on the ball, move forward, sort of really good combinations on the right hand side, and really good tackler. Sort of similar to the Wan-Bissaka in a lot of his tackling, but stature may be a problem, a little bit sort of, maybe a bit short, maybe a bit like that. I don't know. I just fancied him. I thought he could sort of really fit that right hand side for us, sort of in that mould of Wan-Bissaka, if you like. But again, a more attacking right back, so probably doesn't fit the system quite as well.
yeah. No, I get you. You want someone who's comfortable on the ball, comfortable to take it forward, comfortable to receive the ball under pressure. again, not digging out cash at all. But there's times where you think under pressure he's slightly panicky, he takes a slight split second little extra, and you're thinking in Champions League that'll be pounced on, and Matson has maybe got a little bit more of that technical calmness on the ball that we probably need moving forward. But yeah, it does look like he's gonna stay at or move to Dortmund, and yeah, fair play, but definitely a good shout. And finally, a player who would be familiar to Villa fans because he had a good game against us, Thiago Santos, wide player for Lille. Again, little wild card one, Gareth, someone who you spotted last season.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really good season last season, and this again another player sort of coming of age, if you like, coming into the league sort of really well. And yeah, he was impressive against us, wasn't he? In the two games. I mean, I think a lot of Villa fans have sort of talked about Thiago Santos and recommended him to me as well. So I thought I'd have a bit more of a deeper dive into him. And yeah, he's impressive. You know, he can carry the ball really well, dribbling really well, sort of able to sort of be involved in the build-up of Lille's play, which was really important, and playing a very similar system to what we play in the 4-2-3-1 and everything. So yeah, really good defensively, you know, probably wouldn't cost the earth as well. Champions League experience, I think. Yeah, so we've just got to be that little bit sort of more frugal. Again, but another right back option. So, you know, we've listed 3 right backs in this show alone that could probably be attained for a reasonable price, especially maybe not Matson as such, because we know he's probably going to go to Dortmund, but Santos and Wan-Bissaka, 2 right backs who are easily attainable for me.
Yeah, 21 years of age as well.
Yeah.
Potential. Look at the dribbles. Like that is incredible. And you think the engine on him to get up and down, the way he kind of I wouldn't say he tormented us, but he certainly was a threat against us. So yeah, could probably play further forward as well, and could be flexible to play in, more of a wing back position if we needed to. So yeah, could be a really, really good, interesting option for us. And I'm pretty sure other clubs will be looking at him as well. Gareth, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. As you say, you've got numerous players in your catalogue of scouting networks. So we're going to continue this series across the summer. And you'll be interested to see if anyone does come through, whether that be Gallagher, whether that be Barkley, whether that be Wan-Bissaka, or even one of the more wildcard choices in Santos. But yeah, really good stuff, Gareth. Where can people find you on X? It seems like your social media following is growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, you can find me at Analytics GC. And if you want us to look at any players on the show, for instance, just give me a shout on Analytics GC or that Garate JC. We're always there.
Perfect. Well, like I say, I will be back with more of these as the summer goes on, taking a deeper dive into potential players that Villa can sign. Keep looking out for the show. Get involved in the comments, like, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for helping us reach 4K, but we don't want to stop there. We want to keep growing. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for your support. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.